A multiscape is a chart that allows you to see the interaction between two fields. A multiscape is made of an X field, in this case region, and a Y field, in our example industry. Then the interaction between the two fields is showed in an aggregated measure. In this case we have revenue. If we see here, for example, we have that the revenue for our finance insurance industry in the West is about 47 million. Now, a multiscape works particularly well when you have a categorical fields. Categorical fields are normally made of strings and generally have just a handful of values. This is important for a multiscape to look well because you want to see a limited number of interactions. So for example, in here for region we have 4 different types of values: West, South, Midwest, and East. And then for industry we have a handful of categories there. So a multiscape wouldn't perhaps work as well with a numeric field, because you want to be able to see the different bars and what do they correspond to in the chart. If you're thinking of using numeric values that have a wide range of numbers, you can, for example, use a scatter plot here. So, for example, this scatter plot has margin and revenue. So initially it's the same principle of multiscape. You have the interaction between two fields. But in this case, the scatter plot, you can see easily all the different values and combination of revenue and margin. And like I was saying, on a multiscape, you want to have, a set number of interactions so that it is easy to see. For example, in here, I want to be able to grab, let's say, my top 3 bars here. Now I can see that we have, like we saw, the highest one is finance and insurance. Then we have lodging and recreation for the West. And our third one seems to be finance and insurance again for the South. I select everyone else. And another good thing of the multiscape is if you click and hold this blue box on the corner, you can rotate and move up and down, back and forth, or multiscape. So what I wanted to show you is, for example, in here we have our finance on the West and South seem to be the predominant industry in terms of revenue, but we see that finance and insurance are not that important on the Midwest and East. Rather, manufacturing with 17 million and 20 million seem to be the industries with highest revenues in the Midwest and East region. Now, let me show how to set up a multiscape. First, I want to go to the task view. In the task view, I'm going to select under step number 2. I'm going to add a new chart, and then I'm going to select multiscape here. I click it once, then select close, and I get this dialog for the multiscape configuration. In here, I first select the table, that is the customers table. Then I want to select our X field. In our example, it would be region. Then for the Y field, I want industry. And then in here on the measure parameter, I can select just the count, so how many industries under each category. So I select that, and I can see, there's 712 manufacturing industries, companies in the East. But now let me show you some additional configurations for this chart. In here, if I click on this bar at the bottom, I open the toolbar. And in here I can select the data configuration, which is basically going to pop up again the interface that I use to set up my Multiscape. So let's perhaps look at the margin, at the average margin for our industries in the different regions. So in here I have no longer a sum of values, but an average. Some other options in here are, if I click here, display the property explorer, I get a group of advanced options. For example, display the back walls, display the grid, show the grid, and you can also change the shape, for example, to a 3D surface. And some other options. Let me close this dialog here. And another important thing in here is the sorting of the columns and rows. Because normally normally what you want to do is to sort by size. I highly recommend this. So I selected in here, for row and column order, I selected size for both of them. In this way, you know, the higher values are going to get grouped towards the back, and it's easy to see the whole distribution. Otherwise, some of those bigger bars make it hard to see all the distribution. Also, perhaps I want to rotate this to show all the different categories. But also, what I can do here, you can edit the chart title. So you can select to display the title or not. And in here, for example, in this case, let's say I want to take out the average margin in here, because when we talk about margin among a group of companies, we normally are referring to the average. So I take out the average there from the label, and that is reflected on the chart. Finally, what I wanted to show you are some of these other options that are important when setting up Multiscape. Normally, your mouse is defaulted to select the data, but you can change it to pan the chart. So now if you click with your mouse, you can move the chart. Similarly, you can change it to rotate the chart. You can turn the chart, and this is similar to just doing the select, but if you click on the blue box like I showed you before, you can still rotate the chart. And finally, you can zoom in and out. Another of the recommendations here is, for example, in this chart, you want to be able to see all the name of the categories. So perhaps in here I want to zoom out. We want to make it easier for us or the end user to see, you know, what's represented on the chart. So that is the tutorial on how to set up a Multiscape. Thanks for watching.